Hey guys, Churchy here. So in this video, I just want to share with you guys why I'm excited for PoE 2. To start with, there's a different style of gameplay in PoE 2 versus PoE 1. They've added WASD movement. It looks like they've got more exciting skill combos and skill interactions, and I think skill interactions is something that can be really interesting when it's done right. Those classic moments where you're combining things and just making really awesome effects happen. It also looks like some of the gameplay is maybe a little bit tougher, a little bit more methodical, just in that moment to moment while you're fighting enemies and stuff, at least for some of the gameplay. Perhaps especially during the campaign and stuff. I'm sure towards Endgame things might get a bit more like a traditional ARPG, and some of the gameplay also seemed to imply that. But I do like the look of some of the slower kind of more tactically kind of gameplay. There's also a dodge roll, which is awesome because it means they can design encounters and stuff around that. If they know every player is going to be able to use a dodge roll, they can definitely make some more interesting, attacks and things that you need to avoid from certain bosses and enemies and stuff. So that's very cool. Speaking of bosses, the boss encounter design is much more akin to games like Elden Ring or Dark Souls. So you have a checkpoint outside the boss fight, and then if you fail the fight, you respawn at the checkpoint and the boss resets. I think that's really cool. It means that fighting a boss is like a really nice test of skill, and yeah, you actually have to like learn the mechanics properly and make sure you're avoiding them and stuff, or at least it seems like it'll be more built around that and allow them to build it more around that sort of thing, which you still do in the first game. But the first game is a little bit more punishing in some ways and less punishing in others, because in the first one you've got like a limited number of portals and you're kind of just whittling down the boss even after you've died and stuff. So this is just a bit more interesting, and I feel like it's going to be a more rewarding experience to fight and defeat a boss. So they're adding 100 different bosses, I think it is, and they're going to have about 50 during early access, I believe it was, and every single boss fight looks like it's going to be a fairly unique encounter with its own set of mechanics, which is really impressive. All of the bosses I've seen looked fairly visually distinct. They all seem to have their own attack patterns and big attacks that they'll do that you have to get out of the way of and stuff. So yeah, it's looking really cool, and it's shaping up to be a pretty awesome time. They're going to have 12 classes. 6 of those will be available at the start of early access. And while you can use whichever skill you want with whichever class, I think what's cool here is that visually all the classes look like they have their own identity and feeling, and the different animations for each class seem to really bring that home. I'm not sure if the animations are associated with the skills, or if characters kind of have their own independent animations to some extent. But just every class that I saw doing their thing during some of the gameplay I've seen, they all looked unique, and it was really cool to see. And I also really like the look of the mercenary. That looks like it'll be a lot of fun to play and kind of a new play style. I love that they're kind of emulating FPS style gameplay. Just like shooter gameplay, basically, just with, different crossbow types basically representing different guns. Like you've got a repeating one that's kind of like an assault rifle, and you've got one that's like a grenade launcher and a sniper rifle and so on. So that's pretty cool. The monk also looks pretty cool to me, and the sorceress. All the characters look really cool, to be honest. But I think warrior, mercenary, monk, and then maybe sorceress are probably the ones that are standing out most to me at the moment. So build making and just the diversity of builds that there's going to be, that's something I'm really excited for. PoE 1 was amazing at this as well, but PoE 2 looks like it's going to be just as good. And there's already builds that I want to make. Like I already want to try and make some kind of warrior that uses war cries and uses a big two-handed weapon in each hand. I was very excited when I saw that they've added a passive thing that you can unlock to allow you to use two-handed weapons in one hand. Very cool. So another thing that looks really good in PoE 2 is the visuals. They all look incredible. The meshes, textures, effects, animations, all of it looks top-notch, and it's a massive improvement over the first game. And I can't wait to boot up the game and just really soak in the new upgraded visuals. PoE 2 also looks like it's going to start with a pretty fleshed out endgame, even in early access, and I really like the look of the new Atlas. It's kind of neat that it looks like you're actually going to be engaging with the Atlas screen a bit more and actively exploring it, whereas in the first game you still use it a little bit, but in PoE 2 it looks like you'll actually be on that screen a fair bit more and actively involved with it, which is kind of cool. The planned league cycle between PoE 1 and PoE 2 is another thing that I really like. I really enjoy PoE 1 from time to time, so I love that they're planning to structure PoE 2 leagues so that there isn't too much overlap with PoE 1 leagues. This kind of means that you can dive into both games when a new league releases without having to split your time too much between them. One of my favorite things that they're adding is couch co-op. I love that they're adding couch co-op. It looks like it might just be 2 players, but I would love to see them make it up to 4 players. Couch co-op was a really, really great part of my childhood, and hardly any games offer it anymore, and it really needs to make a comeback in my opinion. So I just love seeing that GGG has decided to add it to PoE 2. Anyway, that's all for this video. Let me know what you're looking forward to in PoE 2 down in the comments. Have a good day or night, whichever it may be, and I'll see you in the next video.